it's not every day that you get to travel to Europe. It's not every day that you get to travel anywhere that you want and be in a foreign country for 2 weeks. And when you think that getting there is the difficult part and picking your hotel is the difficult part, Anthony and I are actually here to tell you that that's not the case. So here are the things that I'd like to talk to you about that I learned on my trip. And it could be make it or break it for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and see what Anthony has in store for us and what I have in store for us. As always, Anthony Venture, Daniel's #1 fan, the myth, the legend. It's always a pleasure having you on the channel. So really appreciate you. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, I mean, you just went on one of the most insane trips ever, I feel for you because leading up to it, you were talking about everything, and like it was, yeah, a million different ways, and I was like, as I go deeper into this game, I realize how stressful this game really can be. Not even necessarily just the hotels and the flights, but like you said, literally when you get there, when you
Yeah.
land, you're in a new country, language is different, don't even know how to say hello in multiple
Yeah.
languages, like you said. It's incredibly stressful. So yeah, hopefully today we have some things that can ease people's pain when landing in a new place.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it all started about at this point like 13 months ago, right?
Mm,
Like the typical traveler, depending on how savvy you are, you start booking your flights as far out in advance as you can, trying to get that award availability, and you think that causes a lot of stress. But then you actually kind of forget that you book these flights, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have a flight to London in like 2 weeks
yeah.
and I have no idea what type of documentation that I need. I have no idea like what I need to get into the country. But it's a really fun game, especially when you're talking about points and miles and how all that works and how you can redeem those flights. And I think that's just the beginning of what we're going to talk about. Getting into London, having to pay to enter the country where you
Yeah.
need like the ETA.
Yep. I was gonna
It's
ask you about
actually
that.
yeah, it's a fun story. I use ChatGPT, so for those watching ChatGPT, for people like you and me, I think it's an incredible research tool. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily do the homework for us, but I think
Mhm.
that's actually something super powerful that I learned, like going through all of this, going through my Bali trip, going through this Europe trip. It just gives you like a step-by-step guide on like what to do, what you need, what you have to bring, maybe even how early do you have to be at the airport.
Mhm.
But it essentially walked me through everything that I would need for every country that I was going to, and the countries that I went to make things fun and interesting. So I flew into London, business class through Virgin Atlantic
Mhm.
into London, and we took trains from London to Paris, and then we took another train from Paris to Brussels, and then
Oof.
we took a train from Brussels to Bruges and back, which is about an hour long train ride. And that actually was probably the most religious experience because, when we're going to talk about some of the things that don't go right, that train ride specifically did not go right at
Mm.
all. And it almost ruined our entire trip, which is pretty wild if you think about it.
Dang.
And then we took a train from Brussels once more to Amsterdam, and then we ended up flying from Amsterdam to London and then back
Hmm.
home. Uh,
Dang.
yeah,
So
so it was a
so I
pretty
guess
wild experience.
So let me ask you, so for everybody who's unfamiliar, what's the deal with the ETA visa? Like what is this new visa that we're hearing about recently, and when does this like occur? When does this
Yeah,
happen? Yeah.
the ETA, which is kind of just like an entrance little fee where you downloaded or I downloaded the ETA app strictly from the App Store. So that was what was easiest for me. And then you just go through the application, you put your documents, you put passport information, things like that, and then it will grant you that temporary like authorization to enter the country. And it ties to your passport, so you don't need to print anything out, you don't have to like show them anything, so that was the convenient part.
Hmm.
And it also gives, I think I don't know exactly how long of a time period it is, but in my research it's said that it's for like more than a month or 60 days or 90 days or something like that, because I was concerned. I was like, brother, am I going to have to pay another
Yeah.
ETA to get back into London from Amsterdam to London? I think I paid about $25 per
Yeah.
person. And the fun story that I have is I have a coworker that went to London about 2 weeks before, and I think somehow she got like finessed into getting a different kind. She showed me her receipt and everything. She ended up paying 150 something dollars
Oh, geez.
for her ETA, and I was like, I think you got like the actual thing that got pushed back, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So that was just a little bit about that. It turned out to be like the most easy
Yeah.
thing in existence. I think that's something where like travel documents and paperwork, it is very confusing if you don't know the right resource and which way to go. And I think that's where, when you have the ultimate researcher in ChatGPT and the ultimate guide in ChatGPT, you just follow all the resources. It took me about like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
really nice.
And that's something that, I did last year as well when going to London. And I guess the idea is, if you are going to be traveling through London via layover, but going to a different country that doesn't require this visa, then you're not required to get the visa just because you're doing a layover in London. But because I and Daniel as well did a like one way to London, technically, since you're going to be landing in the country physically, and there's no other itinerary with that same ride to get you somewhere else. Now you have to get the 8-day visa essentially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this way you're not staying in London for past I think you're right. I think like 90 days or something like that.
Something around that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, I didn't realize that initially. I was like, oh, I booked a one way before we went to Athens. So I was like, okay, and then I booked a separate one way to go from London to Athens. But because I was just a one way itinerary on the one leg to straight to London and then landing there, we
Yeah.
had to buy the ETA visa. But like I said, it took like 30 minutes basically to get
Yeah.
it. It was very quick, but I don't know what happens if you don't have that visa. Maybe they send you back or they find you or something. I don't really know.
I didn't want
I'm
to
not
find
gonna
out.
find out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. It said it would take like 48 hours for them to approve it or deny it, and it took like 2 minutes after I submitted everything. And it turned out that, the US passport still holds some weight. So getting into
Yeah.
every other country like Paris, Brussels, Amsterdam, you didn't need any documentation. So
Mhm.
that was really fun. And so yeah, getting to London, right? We got our first class seats, we got our business class seats, however you flew,
Nice.
right? That at that point that turned into the easy part. And some of the things that I learned when getting into London, we can kind of break this up into different cities, I guess, for me. But one of the most important thing that I learned when I got into London was the things to do in London and the things to do in Paris.
Mm.
And I think for me, I had a lot of plans on, prepaid, like pre-booked things, absolutely using and abusing Viator, Expedia, especially with Rakuten, giving yours and my repertoire on points and miles and built and everything.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of things that I booked as far as tours, as far as, events and things like that.
Mm.
And I think one of the things that I learned pretty quickly was it really depends on the weather
Mm.
in the place that you're going.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that I didn't foresee because I thought winter wasn't going to be that harsh in February in London and Paris, but
Mm.
I'm here to tell you that it was pretty bad. We had a lot of like outdoor tours. We had a lot of like,
Really?
hop on, hop off bus things. And I'm just looking at all these buses and none of them have tops. And I'm
Ah,
just like, I'm gonna die up there. Like I'm gonna get sick. Like this is gonna be crazy.
yeah.
And that was the first thing that I realized where a lot of my pre-planned stuff had to either be adjusted or canceled due to, unforeseen circumstances. And I don't know if that happened for you. I think you probably traveled at like literally the perfect time when you went, but for me, that was definitely not the case. So there's some other things that I did on the back end, like when we actually got there.
Yeah, we did have a light rain for one of our tours in London, but it was not enough for her to cancel. It
Yeah.
was it was fine. Yeah, and that's a real thing. It's like, you know, you try to book everything you can, try to have everything down to a perfect T, book all the tours that are possible. And then you realize, yeah, weather could be a thing that can cancel all of your entire plans, need a backup plan for that. And then also time constraints, like sometimes you'll book something where you didn't factor in enough time for you to get to X destination or get there from wherever you are because you don't know what rush hour is or how busy it is.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah.
forget it. London, if you land there at around 8 a.m., it will take you 2 hours to get you to near Westminster. It like 2 hours in an Uber to get there, whereas normally it would maybe a half-hour drive.
Yeah.
So like that's it's tough because you research as much as possible, but there's always something you kind of leave out, and you kind of factor in those issues while you're
Yeah.
traveling. Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that kind of leads me to what I learned over the course of the trip.
Mm,
Like, to put into perspective, London is absolutely massive. Like, it is
yeah.
huge. Getting from place to place is it's very easy if you know the right ways to go. And one of the things that kind of struck me was it was actually easier to use their train system, their public transportation, than to use anything above ground as far as
Hmm.
private transportation, like renting a car or Uber.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of like the maps and Google Maps that I did, like trying to get from the airport to our hotel, it took 45 minutes to drive and it took 43 minutes to take the tube, as they call it.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at that and you think about how an Uber from an airport to the hotel is going to be 76
Yeah.
British pounds, which is
Yeah. hundred
$100 for
dollars.
those that don't know. Or you can just hop on their tube or their train system and it's £7 or like
Dang.
something ridiculous, and it gets you there faster. So that's the part that like absolutely blew my mind, and that's also the first mistake that we made when we were in London. The traveling, the transportation. So
Mm.
going from place to place in London, it was very easy, but we had no knowledge on how any of that worked. So what we did was we ended up buying like individual passes each time we went, and it was £7. So it was
Mm.
$10 for each person each time you went on the thing.
Mm.
And we didn't learn until the very last day, when the guy, like one of the nice gentlemen that works on the stations, was like, why are you buying these? And we're like, because we have to. And he was like, you could just use your ATM card. And then I was like, shut the front door and the back door. He was like, yeah, just use like Apple Pay, just put Apple Pay on there, and then essentially it just charges you, but then there's a maximum that it charges you per day. It was
Mm.
8.5 British pounds per day. And then
Oh,
everything after that is free. And I was like,
wow.
like,
Dang.
we spent at least $80 on rides,
Jeez.
via transportation over the
Wow.
last 3 days, and now you're telling me on the very last day that I could have done this. So that was like learn number 1. I don't know if you had that, if you had a similar experience, but I mean, that was
Yeah.
definitely mind-blowing for me.
Well, did you have to was he saying that you can just do Apple Pay on the train, like, when you walk on? Or is it just whatever the terminal was to buy the ticket, you Apple Pay once and, like, $8 max per day or something?
The way that it works when you're in London is every time you go on like a bus, or every time you go on like through a terminal, instead of using the ticket that you purchase at like the ticket counter or Ticketmaster or whatever, you just tap
Mm.
to pay. And then that will charge you whatever the fare rate is. And if you
Mm.
do that enough times per day, you will then reach whatever the maximum is. So
Mm.
if one tube ticket is £7, you only need 2 trips and then you're maxed out pretty
Hmm.
much.
Dang.
So that was like one of the superpowers, and learning that in London, we then brought that to Brussels, because Brussels had that, Amsterdam had that, Bruges had that,
Mm.
and it was an absolute game changer, because I'm just looking at my statements and I'm like, I don't know if this is feasible. Like, this is ridiculous. We're just going to walk everywhere, but
Yeah.
we can't walk everywhere because it was pouring rain and freezing and windy, and our umbrella was just getting demolished. But
Jeez. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I guess following that same vein, or that same train, I should say, I actually have two scenarios that are kind of similar to this. One is the train systems in Italy. We try to be as prepared as possible, like everybody, and so what everyone ends up doing is like prepaying for a lot of different things, and I think
Mhm.
that's kind of, I think it's good, but not always necessary. But you don't really know until you actually get there. And so one thing I learned from Italy was that I had prepaid for all of the trains that we had to go to throughout the entire
Mm.
country. But what I didn't realize is a lot of the smaller ones, like smaller regional trains that will only go like less than an hour, and they're very, shorter distances. You don't really need to pre-buy those. You can pretty much just buy them when you get there.
Mm,
There's enough seating, and there's enough trains going to those little destinations that really, and it's not assigned seating, so I don't even think there's really a limit necessarily, technically, even though if you
yeah.
go to buy the tickets online, like, there's a limit to how many. But because you can just stand if you want, like we did for most of ours, you could just walk on, and you could pay there, or what have you, or just wait to book your tickets online. I used an app called Trinitalia, to not to be confused with the male body part, but Trinitalia, that you could actually just book your tickets right on your phone right before you get on the train. And why that's an important thing is that, again, you don't factor in the time it takes to get to the train station, or
Yeah.
when you're going to land in a certain area. So if you do not book your exact time on that exact train, you can't use that ticket for another train. And there's like 50 million of them that are
Mm,
coming through. So you're better off just being like, okay, there's a train coming in 5 minutes. All right, I'll just book that one real quick,
yeah.
and hop on. And but the difference is when you do the larger trains, like the countrywide ones that go from like large distances, like Milan to Florence or something like that, or Florence to Venice. These are much larger trains. They're high speed rails a lot of the cases, and they have assigned seating. So those ones you do have to pre book in advance. I still think, like a month or so in advance, unless there's like a crazy like jubilee happening. It's not wise. It's probably best to just book those, honestly, sometimes same day, but honestly, usually like the day before. Usually you're fine. You can usually find like even a business class on one of the trains for not that much more expensive than
Mhm.
premium economy, and it's decent. So that's a big thing. It's like, it's factoring in time. I think I would have been way better off just waiting until day of to book most of the trains. So this way, like, because I had a train ticket that was like for 3 p.m., or no, it was like 6 or 7 p.m. And we were like kind of done with the area. And I was like, let's just kind of get out of here. So let's just go now. It was like 12 or 1.
Yeah.
And then the problem was I ended up getting on a different train using the same ticket, and because it was a different one, I got charged a like tourist tax of 50 euro. So it
No.
was it was like, damn. I was like, she almost like kicked me off the train, but because it wasn't fully booked up, I had to pay. Not only did I pay for my ticket that I didn't get to use, I had to buy another ticket for business class, and then the $50 euro. It ended up being like 170 or euros, so like $200 USD, just for one train ride down to Rome. It was terrible. So never
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing too was actually in Greece, the boats. The boats to get you to some of the different islands, those are hectic. Like, you don't realize before you get there, because you try to research, and nobody really tells you how hectic it is. All they tell you online, if you research like the boats for any of these areas, it's like, oh, if you take the hydrofoil, which is like those enclosed
Mhm.
faster boats, they're like, oh, you're gonna be sick, and everyone's gonna be throwing up all on top of you. Not one person was sick on the hydrofoil. Everyone on Reddit was like, yeah, they're gonna be throwing up all over the place. So that wasn't a thing. And then the large boats, the slower ones, what nobody tells you is there's no assigned seating. So the hydrofoils have assigned seating. The big giant boats that are like 4 hours to get to places,
Yeah.
those have no assigned seating. But what they don't tell you is you have to go up, find a seat as fast as possible. If you get there a little bit late, you're out of luck. You'll have to stand the entire 4 hours, or they have these plastic chairs that you can pick up and throw it anywhere you want on the boat, and then you just sit down, and that's
Oh,
it. And then you wait, and there's like no reception or anything. You just sit there. But like, both are equally stressful, because the one with no assigned seating, you don't know that before you do it. So like, you're like, oh, I
yeah.
can't find a seat. Then you find plastic chairs, and then you go and figure it out.
Yeah.
But the assigned seating one was worse, because even though there's assigned seating, nobody follows that, and nobody
Yeah.
speaks English on a lot of those. It's usually, they're like, a lot of the islands we went to were places that the Greek people go to vacation, not even tourists like from America and whatnot. And so they don't speak any English whatsoever. And if you
Nope.
try, if you're like, oh, sorry, sir, this is my seat, they'll be like, wave you off. So you just
Nope.
go,
Yep.
you just find a seat, and you hope nobody bothers you. And you just you just go for it. There
Yeah.
are technically people on board to help you find your seat, but it didn't really work out when we did that. So
Yeah.
two little quick
I
things. Yeah.
I would say that was one of the things that definitely we were blessed with. A lot of folks that we ran into, we didn't run into that many people. We kind of kept to ourselves and did our own thing unless we like absolutely needed some help.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people in everywhere that we went were very friendly. I think like talking about trains and talking about subways and the things that we learned, I think that brings me to like another very valid, important thing that I'm not sure if a lot of people look into it. I think a lot of the
Mm,
fun that we talked about when it comes to booking flights and booking hotels, I think getting an insane redemption is really good. And I think this is where my most important learn was. And this learn actually did not occur until we got to France, to Paris.
mm,
In London, we lucked out. We picked up a hotel, the Sheraton near Park Lane, and it was probably like maybe an 8 minute walk from the train station. But
mm,
that's something that I think was my biggest learn,
mm,
and it did not have such a profound impact until we got to Paris. We were only in London for like 2.5 days, so it
mm.
was semi nice for
Yeah.
the most part, unless it was like raining at night, but we were like very well prepared. In
Mm,
Paris, the public transportation, like their train system is so nice and so convenient. And we essentially got a hotel like right on Champs-Élysées, right down that
mm,
main street. It was about a block away from their like the artery of their subway,
mm,
and that was absolutely incredibly convenient, and that was one of the trade-offs that I decided to go with, because the area, kind of like what you were talking about, everyone on Reddit, everyone on TikTok is just like, don't go there, it's horrible, it's just tourist city, blah blah blah. And I think that what people don't understand is you have a hotel, but you're never going to stay in it.
yeah.
Like, we literally just threw our stuff there, changed, and then left. And then we went to explore Paris. And having the hotel so close to the subway, we literally got out of our hotel. There was a pharmacy literally right next door, which was incredibly convenient.
Nice.
There was a pharmacy next door. We would walk 1 block. So whether it was raining, snowing, super wind, we only had to endure it for like 30 seconds,
Hmm.
and then we would get to the subway, and then we can transfer in the subway stations, so we can go to any arrondissement that we wanted, any game plan that we had to transition from outdoor plans to indoor plans,
Mm,
and that's something that I'll elaborate on a little bit more. But I mean, I think having that hotel, which was, I would say, a big sacrifice, because the original hotel that we wanted was probably somewhere around like maybe $500 a night,
mm,
which is nothing to sneeze at when you stay
yeah.
there for 5 nights, right? So
Yeah.
$2,500 for 5 nights. This hotel, it was the Citizen M, so we stayed at the Citizen M in
Hmm.
Paris, and it was about $160 a night.
Nice.
So it was like 25% the price,
Yeah.
and that also comes with 25% of the space, literally. When you look at like the room description, I thought, I was like, I didn't know what was going on, but it was 120 square foot room.
Oh God, what? That's a
So
closet.
literally, yeah, the bed filled up half of the room, and then they had the sink and then the toilet, and then that was it. So
Dang.
that was probably like one of the more eye-opening experience that is very consistent with the information that we got,
Mm,
where rooms in Europe are incredibly small unless you go absolutely crazy.
yeah.
And this definitely fit the bill. As we were checking in, a lady was literally complaining to the front, like, "Hey, this room is too small. Like, you
Yeah.
have to give me a bigger room." And then they were like, "Ma'am, they don't get any bigger."
Yeah.
Like, this hotel didn't have suites. And I think that's like a sacrifice that, after experiencing this, 100% would have done it in any moment. I would give up any size like amenity. I would try to have a room that may be a little bit smaller, right? Because that was like actually kind of insane.
Hmm.
But I would imagine, and maybe this is where you, similar for you or not, but imagine you have a phenomenal room, phenomenal amenities, but it's like a 20-minute walk
Yeah.
to the nearest metro or the nearest subway. Like, if it's summertime, phenomenal, great, who cares? Like, you're going to be walking around, it's great weather. But in this situation where it was 32 degrees, water freezes at 32 degrees, by the way,
Yeah.
and it was raining and we had to carry umbrellas, like, the convenience, like, that is something that now I am looking towards for all of my trips. So when I'm
Yeah.
planning my Japan trip, I'm looking specifically at, I think you and I talked about it, where I was like, am I going to stay in Ginza, am I going to stay in Shibuya, am I going to
Yeah.
stay in X place, right? And based off of that, there's actually a location that's a 5 minute walk from the main train, and that's in Shibuya. I think it just confirmed a lot. Even for my next trip, that's not happening for another year and 2 months, right? But I mean, that was just like a pivotal learning experience for me. So I don't know if you had one similar, or if you lucked out, or if it was all skills for you. But
It's a skill issue, Daniel.
yeah,
Um, no, actually, and funnily, yeah, for Tokyo, I mean, yeah, if what Daniel is saying makes sense to you, then you don't book the Park Hyatt in Tokyo, the newly refurbished one, because it is like a easy, yeah, 20-minute walk to the trains and
yeah,
all those. It's like I've had a lot of friends go there recently, and they're like, location's just not worth it, and that's one of the biggest lessons I learned as well, is yes, location, like Daniel said, is everything, absolutely everything. I would gladly take a hotel that is honestly not like really not amazing whatsoever. A small hotel, nothing crazy, not modern at all, and it be completely dead center where I want to be versus a high end luxury hotel that it's impossible to walk anywhere from. Because there's two types of trips I would say. There's ones where you do those luxury hotels and it takes a little bit to get there, but that is the destination. The hotel is the destination. Like the one I went to on in Paros, which is the 4 hour boat ride away from Athens in Greece. That was a destination hotel. There was
yeah,
no walking away from there. It's everything else was like not a desert, but like there's nothing around. Basically, it's just that, and then there's a beach you can walk to, and nothing else. Absolutely. But they do have a free shuttle. Luckily, that'll take you to like the town and everything. But that's like a 20-30 minute drive. Um, but then there were some hotels like in Lake Garda in Italy where it was a boutique hotel, like Daniel said, like $150 a night. Not modern by any means, but had a nice old school classic balcony, and it's dead center of town, and it was you could walk everywhere you would want to. So that is absolutely huge. And actually, something you reminded me of was as far as like hotel, like we look at the maps online and we're like, oh yeah, it's only an 8 minute walk or 10 minute walk to the hotel from the train. But one thing I've done more recently since doing some of these crazy trips is go on Google Maps and actually look at what that walk looks like.
yes,
Because
yes,
even though it's a 10-minute walk, it seems like nothing in the dead of heat where it's like 90 degrees out and everything is cobblestone, meaning your luggage is not going to be able
no,
to ride on that very easily whatsoever. And the walkway is this narrow, so really it's like single file and there's a bunch of people. Yeah, yeah. We had a couple times like in Lake Como and Florence where we walked our luggage 20 minutes to the hotel, completely dead by the end of it, and it was like extremely stressful. In fact, I had to pick up our check bag or our carry-ons the entire walk. The
yeah,
entire walk. So yeah, it's definitely, I think that the most important thing is if you're gonna book a hotel that's a little bit far from the train or ferry, however you're getting there, either car service come and pick you up, pre-book that, or just the taxis are pretty easy to book anywhere. Or look at the Google Maps to see is it even walkable.
yeah,
Some of them don't even have sidewalks, it's just streets, so you're like, oh, it's a
yeah.
20-minute walk. If you have nothing and you could dodge cars, yeah, that you could do that, but with luggage it's not possible.
Infinite stamina.
Yeah.
Lena has a video, a couple videos of me in London on the last day where
Mm,
we're just trying to go from, like, we're trying to leave, or we're trying to get there or something like that,
mm.
and there's no elevators in the tube, and
Yeah.
like it was the most confusing thing ever because the train station that we needed to get off at, like, there's different layers of
Mm,
subway for some of these cities.
mm.
And so we went up the platform, and then we thought that was the exit, but it was actually another platform for more trains. And then
Uh,
so we're just like, okay, so this isn't the exit. So then we walked back down, and I'm carrying two checked bags, by the way,
oh,
checked
jeez.
bags. So we walk back down, and then there's signage that says "way out," right? So it's not exit
They're
in
the least
London. It's
classy people, by the way. Like yeah,
yeah,
way out and like, oh, it's not bathroom, it's toilet.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree. So I had to walk up and down that one staircase 3 times
It's really, yeah.
because we
Yeah.
just didn't know what to do. And then there was actually another couple with us, so we kind of trauma
Oh,
bonded with them,
yeah.
and we were all walking up everything, but eventually we found our way out.
That is huge. Trauma bonding with other tourists is huge. Like you always
Yeah,
find each other somehow, and you're like, "Oh, I'm from wherever." We met some people right, like from North Carolina or Georgia, like hour drive away from us,
yeah,
out in places, and it's like, yeah, some of these platforms. Yeah, same thing with Italy. Actually, I had to do the carry-ons. I'm not as jacked as you, I guess, with the check bags. I had carry-ons, but down the platform, back up the platform, down the platform. And then sometimes the trains change which platform they're going to come to. So you'll be standing at
yes,
10 and it's actually going to be at 8. So you got to go all the way down, go across, and then back up to that platform. Like
Yep.
that's yeah, you're so right. Yeah, that's
Yep.
infinite stamina is important. Yeah.
Really needed. But you did bring up like a pretty cool thing. Like the thing that I like that you talked about was there's some destination places where
Mm,
hotel is going to be incredibly valuable. You need those amenities. There's places where you're just going to drop off your stuff and
yeah.
leave. And I think when you look at how long it takes to actually walk places, something kind of to that point is there are places that are incredibly walkable. When
Mm,
we were in Brussels, when we were in Bruges, when we were in Amsterdam, you think that they're massive cities the size of New York or like California, but they're actually incredibly small, especially like in the areas where all of the like really important architecture, all the tourism, all of the amazing things to do that's catered towards travel and fun and leisure.
yeah.
Amsterdam, you can essentially get from one end of it, like in the city center, to the next in 15 minutes.
Hmm,
And that was something that actually blew my mind because we did not take a single car when we were there.
yeah.
They have incredible public like systems as far as trams and subways and buses, and we exclusively used that. It was so much easier, even though everything was in Dutch. Didn't understand a single word, but it was just very easy to pick up on things. The lines weren't named like they are in London.
Mm,
They had numbers, which just made things so much easier. Take the two this way, and
yeah.
then okay, fine, taking the two that way. But Amsterdam was by far like my favorite. It's probably the largest of the European cities that I went to
Really?
that had it was walkable.
Hmm,
Like London it's not walkable. Paris is not walkable. If you wanted to walk anywhere in London from place to place, it would be at least a 45-minute to an hour long walk.
yeah.
Same thing with Paris. But Brussels and Amsterdam specifically, you did not even need to get on a train for 95% of the time because of how like close everything is, and it
Mm,
made planning out what you do in each part of Amsterdam and Brussels like that much easier.
yeah.
And Paris was just like a whole different beast. And I think that's kind of something that I want to talk about next. And that's like when you get there and then you realize that all the tours that you did, like I booked museums, I booked
Mhm,
Moulin Rouge, I booked a bunch of, excursions throughout like different places. But one of the things that I realized is I have so much free time, like it just
yeah.
unless you go on like a 10-hour, go to this place, go to this place, go to this castle, take a picture here, and then 3-hour car ride there, right?
Mhm,
I realized that we just had a lot of downtime, and especially when you're traveling abroad, I almost felt the need to like fill those gaps
mm,
with other things, and sometimes it was actually really difficult.
yeah.
And there's a couple things that I learned that like how to find things on what to do.
Mm.
But is that something that you experienced too when you're in Italy, or
Well, for Italy, there was a couple times where, yes, it was, like, boring, like, basically like, basically, what do I do, you know? Like, and I think that's part of improper planning on my part, which was going to destinations that are meant to be do not like you're not supposed to do anything. Like the goal is to just, I guess, relax, which is very hard, for some of us to do.
yeah,
Just to hang out. It's like, oh, I'm here. I'm supposed to be doing stuff, and it's like, oh, there's actually nothing to do. So I would that's just factoring in too many days for certain areas, which was a mistake I made.
yeah,
But yeah, there was sometimes like in Florence we had 5 days where there were times where we had nothing to do too, and it was, you know, we just ended up just walking around and getting some sandwiches, and then like a random museum would pop up, and Leonardo da Vinci Museum would go there. But you're right, yeah, there's a lot of times where you have to kind of fill that space a little bit, and it's not always clear. I think also giving yourself space too sometimes is helpful. Like sometimes we would just go back to the hotel and just hang out for a few hours, just like
yeah,
but you're right, yeah, it can be a little stressful at times when you have like like you factor in so many days for one destination. You do it
yeah,
all pretty quickly. I think honestly, some of our best vacations we've factored in less days in a given area and we fit in more things, and I think we were happier overall.
yep,
Like Rome, we were only there for 2 days, and we literally did a tour that was called Rome in a Day. Like everything that Rome built like basically in a day.
yeah,
It was like $400 for two people. It was well worth it because we got to see the Vatican, Colosseum, uh, the Trevi Fountain, I think Spanish Steps and one other thing I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's like a million different things, and it's like take yeah, literally 8 hours, 10 hours. It's an entire
Yeah.
day, and you when you finish, it's 5 o'clock, and you go have dinner, then you're done.
Yeah.
So I love those kinds of tours. But and you're right too. Like Rome, I didn't think about it, but yeah, 30-minute radius, and you can see every big landmark that you would want outside of
Yeah.
Vatican. Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy. Everything's walkable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome that you bring that up. I was kind of thinking about that because when we were planning the trip, I am the exact opposite person.
Mm,
Lena, my girlfriend, is the exact opposite person. We I see the value of doing the longer tours,
mm,
but there was just something that was telling me, and I think this is a mistake. So between you and me and everybody watching, like I feel like we messed up because we did not do those longer, like show you the city.
mm,
Here's a tour. You don't have to worry about transportation. We're going to tell you all the history, things like that.
yeah.
We kind of tried to, I wouldn't say wing it, but we did our own research and then we kind of tried to customize what we
Mm,
did in each area. And that's where we found out that we had a lot more downtime because sometimes things don't take as long
yeah.
as they do, right?
Legit.
Like getting lunch doesn't take 2 hours, you know. But
Yeah.
when it comes to like museums and things like that, we found out that that takes forever,
Yeah.
like forever. We were in the d'Orsay Museum for
Mm,
4 hours.
wow.
You know, like that's actually something that I found to be quite
Hmm,
a benefit. I was like really grateful for that because it was raining outside and the weather was horrible. And here we are. I'm taking phenomenal photos of everything that's going on in there. And we just have like a 4 hour, 3 hour, time frame to just like relax, enjoy, and then just watch the history.
yeah.
Right. And that essentially takes me to like how I learned to like really really find things to do, like if you want to fill the gaps or if you want to kind of like, how Paris is arranged. They have what's called arrondissements, so they have different parts of the city, and each part of the city, they have 18 arrondissements, I believe, but each one is known for something incredibly different and incredibly diverse. Like each one has like a different landmark. They have food, they have things to do, things like that.
Hmm,
And it's stuff that's not on Viator, it's not on Expedia, it's
mm,
not on, any type of like, I guess it's kind of on Reddit. But something that I learned was honestly like TikTok was kind of like my best friend. And I don't know if you use TikTok to kind of like find things to do, but
yeah.
we were literally typing in like Paris arrondissement 2 things to do or like
Mm,
food to eat. And then what we would have is we would have like user tested, right? We would have people that would experience that, they would do it, and then they would rate it. And there would be like
mm,
hundreds of thousands of videos of just like, this is the top 3 food places that I would eat here, or
yeah.
these are like the 5 things that I would do in this area. And then if you watch enough, like 2 to 3 or maybe even 4 videos, you're going to start noticing that there's going to be some common things to do, where now multiple like content creators or multiple travel people that get paid to do this or do this frequently are like, oh, I'm aligned with this person on this food
Mm,
place, whether they
mm,
know it or not. It's kind of like, how we talk about how amazing the built card is and how amazing the built network is, right? Like people listen to us because we go through the motions and
yeah.
we live this, and we are giving them like our best take on like honest reactions and honest reviews.
Mhm,
So when I was going through social media, I guess you could just call it that, when you go through social media and then you essentially research things to do in certain places, you'll find those common threads and you can just pull them and group them together. So that was like absolutely invaluable. I ended up, instead of Google Maps, I used Apple Maps. Lena
mhm,
uses Google Maps, but you can kind of group things together in like guides, or you could star things. So when you open
mhm.
up maps, it's just like it slaps you right across the face right there. And that's essentially how in Brussels we went on a beer crawl, we went on a chocolate crawl because Belgium chocolate,
Yeah.
Belgium waffles, like finding all those like breweries, finding all those chocolatiers, finding all the waffle makers that are just like not the tourist traps. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like the genuine ones. We don't have to spend an arm and a leg on a waffle, right? But that proved to be so 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 valuable. So when you combine that with all of your pre-planned stuff, like your tours and your train tickets and things like that, it like kind of changed and shifted the dynamic of, well, it's raining and we're trapped in this hotel and we don't know what to do, because for us we couldn't simply just walk around and find things, because I mean, you hear how I sound right now. I'm still sick. Lena was just hacking up a lung at
Jeez.
times. And it wasn't one of those things or one of those moments where we could just like walk around and see the beautiful things. We would do that on our way from place to place, yes, but that was another mistake. So definitely want to go back in spring, summer. But I mean, that was probably like the biggest learn. So if you are in those circumstances, or even if it's great weather and you are just like tired and you're just like, maybe like your partner is taking a nap and you're just on your phone on the bed, like we were doing that often. We would have like midday naps
Yeah.
all the time, because we would just be so exhausted after like traveling to a museum and eating breakfast and things like that. So we would have naps, recalibrate, recuperate, and then back out. So
Mhm. So that's funny you say all that because I actually have two thoughts. Two different thoughts. Well, one thing you reminded me is a trick that I found was literally like for finding food places. I actually would go on Google Maps, and I've done this now in so many different places, and it like I won't say never fails, but it's like pretty high odds to get a good experience. So I go on Google Maps and I'll search a particular area that I know is like fairly busy, and then I'll go like 2 blocks away on the maps, and I'll just start clicking random restaurants, and I'll read
mm,
the most recent reviews, search by recent. And, a lot of the times there'll be reviews of people, and it always happens, I don't know how. I find ones that are like all in whatever the local language is, like it'll be translated from Google. But then there'll be some like Americans that'll be like, we found this place like a hole in the wall or whatever, off the beaten path, and we went back here like 5 days out of the 5 days we were here. Like they kept
wow.
going back. So I was like, okay, if I keep seeing this and it's like I see some of the local people going there and some Americans, I'm like, that's it, that's it. It's like it works every time, because every time we've gone in the main areas for food, it was always just, yeah, touristy and not a good experience, and rushed. But every
Yeah.
time I would like go off the beaten path and like go 2 blocks down or 3 blocks down sometimes, we ended up finding a great experience. There was one where we were off an island, somewhere in Greece, and, I remember seeing some of the more busy restaurants were all on this, like, ocean front, and then I remember going 2 blocks away, and there was this one place, I'm forgetting the name of it, but it was, like, literally there was, like, cats rolling around, and there was, like, a couple houses and people hanging out. Like, it didn't look like the most upscale area. It just looked like we just walked until we made it here, and we came in and we saw like the owners, which is like I guess like it's just like the owners are sitting there and they're just looking around, they're talking and they're chummy, and we sat down and it was like the best meal we ever had in all of Greece. We just
That's
stumbled
awesome.
across it. So I always do that. Go on Google Maps and then go like 3 blocks away from the main area. Even
Yeah.
further in some cases. I notice when you go too far out though, then you get some weird experiences in weird areas. But like a few blocks away from the main busy tourist area is like great. And one thing I will say is I agree and I disagree with your TikTok method, because obviously
Mhm.
it's worked for you, and there was a time where it did work for us as well, but I actually found it backfired more often for
Mm,
us personally, and it's
yeah.
probably just because of the reach of some of them. But one thing I found when going through TikTok is a lot of wives will do that, or whatever, girlfriends will be like,
Yep.
oh, look at this crazy place. There was two separate occasions. There was one where there was one particular restaurant that did like crazy like stuff like at a certain time every day, and why it was good is because it led us to the island where that restaurant kind of was held. So the
Mhm.
island itself was great, but that restaurant was like total scam. Like decent food, but it was a total scam. Like I remember getting a reservation 30 days in advance for a particular time, and then people were able to just like walk in and get a better time than us because we got there super early. And it was just super touristy, super expensive. So I didn't appreciate
Mm,
that. And then in
yeah.
one area, there was a place called Lumon Selgarda. It's a lemon place basically in Lake Garda, and it was all over Instagram, all over TikTok, crazy. And when we went, oh my god, it was the biggest mistake ever. It's this tiny little town and
Yeah.
50 million people that are all like I saw this one girl, legit one girl, all dressed in lemon stuff, and had a bag of lemons over his shoulder just to take some Instagram shots where people were just
No.
tens of thou like, legit,
Yeah.
this town was made for population maybe 500,
Yeah.
and there was probably 5,000 people. Like
Yeah.
it was 10x the amount of people that were eligible to exist on this particular town. And
Yeah.
so I was like, never again are we going to follow a TikTok in that way.
Yeah.
Although TikTok is what led us to that area to begin with. It led us to Lake Garda, which was an amazing area, and also led us to that other island. It's just the thing itself was not great, like the thing that they were promoting. So
Yeah.
that's my my take on that. But I think it can
No,
be good too. It's like, oh, that was so stressful though.
yeah. No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. There were some places where they were definitely worth the hype. Like in
Yeah.
Paris, there was a place called Maison Louvard, and they
Hmm.
had what was called a crookie. It was a croissant mixed with a cookie.
Oh wow.
And I'll send you a photo of it later. It was probably like it was the most insane crookie I've ever had in my life. Just
Crookie.
like delicious. It like wasn't cooked all the way. It was just ever so soft, but like on the edges it was croissant,
Wow.
and the line was probably 100 people long.
It is worth
Um,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like those where it's like if you see there are certain places where if you see a line that long, the place is good. So
A
it's
lot of
either
times, yeah. People
you
say the
have
opposite online. They'll be like, "Oh, it's
yeah
too long as tourist trap," but no, I agree. Yeah, a lot of times
yeah
there were super long lines, and it was worth it. You know, and
yeah
it doesn't always have to be. It's just the times that it is. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. But to
Mm,
your point, there was some moments where there were places where we were just like, what are we doing here? Like this is literally like a tourist trap.
yeah.
And I think that's where Lena developed the okay, cool. So you see it on social media, but now go to Google Maps. What are
Yeah.
the reviews?
Yeah.
So similar to like what you were saying, like now that we've identified a potential spot,
Yeah.
we're gonna now do a little bit more independent research, aka Google Maps
Yeah.
or just like Open Table and like what
Yeah.
are the reviews. If it's less than like 4 point something, then forget about it. If it
Yeah.
doesn't have enough ratings, like if it has less than 100, probably not.
Yeah.
So there's criteria that player two has that like really helped out there. But
Mm.
um yeah, those
Yeah. Totally agreed. Yeah, because it's like in some of those places that have the best reviews too. That might be that's why I love the 2 or 3 block away method because like
yeah
sometimes they have the best reviews, and it'll be like yeah, it's just super long lines. But like for places that weren't on the like your place with the 100 person thing, like it was on the bucket list. We had some
yeah
places like that as well, but some places that just like good reviews,
yeah
random places that you don't really care about, it's just a place to go to, and it's like endless lines. Like it's not worth it. I remember having one that was like 2 hour wait or something like that, just standing there
yeah
because we didn't know anywhere else. But like, yeah, 3 blocks away, you just walk right in, you're good. You know, I don't know why
yeah
people aren't really, going in there that often, but and not really walking. Sometimes it's a little bit of a wait, but
So when it comes to like when you're traveling there, did you use like any eSIMs or did you kind of just go off Wi-Fi? Like what did that look like?
we would have never been able to do anything that we did at all. Like we would have never. It's still, I would still be in Italy right now if we did not have access to internet while
Yeah,
while wandering out about. Because it was the only way I was able to like figure out how to walk to places or even be able to call like a taxi in certain
yeah,
ways. Like access to internet is so freaking important when
yeah,
just walking around. Like the Wi-Fi didn't really ever come into play much other than just like saving battery when watching YouTube or something at night or whatever.
yeah,
What you're supposed to do is watch YouTube at night to fall asleep. No, but I used AT&T's international day pass, so a little pricey. I know eSIMs could be way cheaper. And I think I probably wouldn't have changed anything. All I know is I don't need the calling. She
yeah,
likes the calling and the texting and
yeah,
everything like that. But I need the internet. So like maybe
yeah,
we would do something where one of us does eSIM, one of us doesn't, because then you don't have
yeah,
access to internet, but maybe you can call. But I just did the day pass. It was like $12 per day, up to a max of 120.
yeah,
Um, and I had good internet,
yeah,
everywhere. I thought it was worth it, but I know you can go cheaper. It was just super easy. Just go on AT&T, hit the button, and then now I have
yeah,
access to internet, anywhere. So yeah, I
yeah.
thought it was worth it. That's what I did though.
That actually brings up like a really good point that I was going to talk about for like probably like one of the biggest things I learned. And I think you have effectively solved that problem for me. But we went the eSIM route, so
Mm.
We used Airlo, and we
Uh,
essentially purchased eSIMs for each individual country that we were going to,
mm,
and it came out to like a really really good price. However, we did not get the phone calls or text
yeah,
messages. We could use FaceTime and iMessage and things
yeah,
like
more
that,
reliable. Yeah,
but it just didn't work for messaging when you really really needed to get something done. And this is kind of like what my big learn is: Uber is not a thing in every single country. They have their own versions of Uber. So Bolt, I don't know if they have
yeah,
that in Italy, but Bolt is kind of like the Uber of Europe. And they also have like a couple other applications, like Paris had a different one that was
yeah,
brought to you by Lyft.
yeah.
But in order
We
to
now.
make
Mm,
accounts for all of those, you needed to get a text message to verify.
mm.
And sometimes it let you use WhatsApp, and that's where it was, like, really, really convenient. But there was one application, I for the life of me, I don't know what it is, but in Paris, they didn't use Bolt, they
Mm,
used a different app, and you could only sign up by phone number, couldn't even sign up by email. And in order to complete the sign up, you would have to essentially, get a text message, and
yeah,
that was just such a pain because I couldn't get that text message.
yeah.
So like knowing what applications do you need to download based off of like what country you're going to, I think that's like paramount, especially if you need to get to an airport in a pinch, or if you need to get from an airport and you
Hmm.
need to request something. Like not having just Lyft and Uber that don't really operate. Like Uber works in London, fantastic, but does not go anywhere else. Lyft doesn't go anywhere else. So
Yeah.
the ability to like download Bolt and then have everything ready, card on file, ability to like message, get text messages, things like that. That was hugely important, especially if you're on a time crunch. So one of the things you said earlier was like planning ahead and making sure that you have enough time to do stuff.
Mhm.
Like to and from airports, to and from train stations was so incredibly important to either get there early or just too early,
Mhm.
because when stuff did not go right, like it really just did not go right to the point to where we almost missed a couple of
Yeah.
trains, and that essentially like ruins the entire trip. When we were in Bruges,
Mm.
one of the trains, like it's not like the intercontinental one, it's kind of like their regional trains, like what you're talking about, where there's no assigned seating.
Yeah.
um, it's like you buy a train ticket and you can go whenever you want. Like it's a train ticket for the day. So you can hop
Mm.
on any train going anywhere
Mm.
for that day. And of course, with our luck, they started doing like track realignment surgery for their railway.
Oh,
And
jeez.
it's like, yeah, it starts on February 20th. And I'm like, fantastic. We need to take this
Yeah.
damn train on February 20th. So I'm freaking out, like absolutely freaking out. And like I'm asking ChatGPT. ChatGPT's like, yeah, if it doesn't show any diversions, cancellations right now, you're good. This is the day before. This is the day before. So the day of, I wake up, every single train except for one has been canceled.
Yeah.
And that train, like we were planning on staying the whole day in Bruges, and then going from Bruges to Brussels on like a 2 p.m. train.
Mm.
The train that we needed to take was at 10:55 in the morning, and we didn't
Gosh.
wake up until like 9:30.
Ugh.
And
Wow.
so like this is not something where can't call a taxi because the hotel was like off the beaten path. It's not somewhere where taxis just like line up and chill.
Yeah.
So we needed access to Bolt, and I got the first one. And like the layout of the hotel, we stayed at Duke's Palace,
Hmm.
which is it's nice, but there's like a couple different Duke's Palaces,
Mm.
and I got a ride to the wrong one.
Oh my god.
So I got a ride to the wrong one.
Oh.
So the driver's there, and I'm just like outside with my two check bags. I'm just like, what is going on right now? Like, what is happening?
Ugh.
And then I cancel the ride and I try to re-request it. Mind you, like time is like running out. Time is absolutely running out right now.
Jeez.
And so I call another one. It's a different guy, and he's 10 minutes away. And I was like, the train leaves in 20 minutes. It
Ugh.
takes 15 minutes to get there. Like
It's
I'm
crazy.
I'm just like, I need to have a seat. I need a moment. This is ridiculous. Like cigarette, something, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then as I'm just like sitting down, I'm just like watching this 8 minutes come by. And then Lena also gets one because I didn't know what she was doing. So she also got one and she actually got the guy that I canceled.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was 2 minutes away.
Oh, damn.
So I canceled mine. Dude
Ooh.
comes in. I don't think he noticed because like my thing doesn't have a picture, but obviously it's like to the same place. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm sure he could put two and two together.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Yeah, are you going to the train station? Just make sure that we're going to the right place because everybody always puts in the wrong place when they're
Mm.
trying to go somewhere." And I was like, "Okay, dude, like that's crazy." Um, but
Damn.
like, so that's kind of like when life happens and like situations change, like how you were saying that you change from one platform to the other.
Yeah.
We'll try 75% of your trains being canceled. And
Yeah.
we essentially had to like uproot ourselves. Like we were already packed, but instead of having like a leisure day and shopping for like, you know, like gifts for other people, souvenirs, things like that, we had to run to a train station. And then we ended up like the way I had it planned was it would get to Brussels by like 3 o'clock, and then at 3:50, our train from Brussels to Amsterdam would be
Mm.
going.
Yeah.
But now, instead of having a 50-minute wait, we got to Brussels at you know almost 12 o'clock. So
Oh,
we had 3 hours and like 45
yeah.
minutes to just like wait. And we had like just imagine being stuck in a train station that has horrible Wi-Fi and like no food and chairs are supremely uncomfortable. Like it's just not fun. But
Dude, we
that
had the
was
exact same thing. We had the exact same thing. They were literally doing work on the trains, and we ended up. That was a situation where I got on the wrong train because I was like, I'm tired of this. But yeah, same, legit, like 3 or 4, like 3 hours just sitting at a train station with not good Wi-Fi and a terrible bathroom. Like it's the worst. It's literally the worst. You're so right.
yeah,
That's a crazy situation.
yeah,
Yeah, because you really can never plan. Like, there's so many little things that happen in between. Like, I remember yeah, with similar situation. We were in Lake Garda, and we were trying to get to our hotel at nighttime, and we were like, "Oh, the bus stop is right here. It says it runs at this time." You go there, there's no such bus stop. There's no it doesn't exist. And there's one taxi driver that's sitting on the side of the road, just like parked, and not even look like he's working. And I just go up to him and be like, "Listen, can you just take us here?" And
yeah,
then and I gotta haggle with him, and then I gotta pay $100, to get the 45 minutes away. Like, what a mess. What a
yeah,
freaking mess. It's honestly, that's I don't miss it. Like, I hate the transportation. Like, from now on, honestly, when I travel, I'm trying to like not go to remote places. I'm not trying to go to
yeah,
places that are impossible to get to. It's like, can I take one vehicle to get to this one place and then I walk everywhere? Like, that's
yeah,
bliss.
yeah,
That is bliss because those times are so stressful. We laugh about it now, but like in the moment when you're trying to get your taxi and you're like, oh yeah, it's 10 minutes out, and then the train is 10 minutes from then, and like, oh, I'm not going to be 5 minutes late no matter what, and it's my
yeah,
one train to get to my other country. Like, oh my god, what a freaking mess.
yeah. Dude, I don't know if you had did you have an Aura ring at the time? Because
No.
I did. And when I tell you, we were looking at like it shows you like your stress. And like there's different levels to the Aura ring. So there's like relaxed, there's engaged, and then there's stressed,
Yeah.
right? And I was literally like for the
Peaked.
entire vacation, I was just peak stress where it's like stress, 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 and then like engaged, engaged, and then stress, 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 stress. And like you could see, I was like, that's where we went to the train, and that's where the taxi
Yeah.
messed up, and then that's where we were carrying the luggage, and we didn't know which train to take. Like it
Oh,
actually like this trip foundationally changed what I'm going to be doing
yes.
in Tokyo in
Yeah.
Japan because I wanted to go to 3 4 different cities and
No.
after going to
Same.
4 different cities in Europe I'm
Yeah.
like no,
No.
I'm going to
Two
be
max.
yeah, I'm going to be in Tokyo for majority of the time and then I might have like a day trip here or there
Yeah.
something but
Yeah.
I'm literally like no way, I can't do that.
It's
It's
not
just
worth
not
it.
possible. Yeah,
It's not worth it. Too many people are like, "Oh, I like doing a million different things. I'm fine." It's like, maybe if you've been there already. Like now, if I go to Italy today, it would be far less stressful, and we would be masters of the area.
yeah,
But man, first time to a place, oh, it's just not worth it. It's not worth
yeah.
stressing yourself out and doing a million different things and hotel hopping. It's like Yeah, it eats in too much time, it's too stressful. Makes it not even worth it. Like, Italy doesn't even really rank up there, like, as a whole, like, with many of my trips just because of how stressful it was to traverse 5 different cities and all the trains and all that crazy stuff. Just
Yeah,
Florence has a special place in our heart. Florence was great. The rest is like whatever, it was
yeah,
just too much. But had I stayed in one place or 2 places, yeah, way
yeah,
better. That's honestly the biggest tip, I think. You're so right. Like,
yeah,
just if you could stay at one place and enjoy it, or 2 places and enjoy it, I think it's far better than try to
yeah.
do too much,
At least
Never.
for the first time, so that way you can kind of like
Yeah,
figure it out. That's also my biggest pro tip. Like if there's anything that I learned over the course of the last 2 weeks, it's really pick a spot and like plant and just like experience it as much as you can. And if you want to venture out, then venture out that way, like Anthony venture. But other than that, if you bite off more than you can chew, it really takes a lot of the fun and the enjoyment out of it.
yeah.
Lena was loving it because she didn't have to worry about anything. She was the passenger princess, you know. I'm over there just stressed, depressed, lemon zest all day, every day, making sure that all the itinerary is good and she's happy, and so that way, like she can have a great vacation. It was fun for me too, but I mean, with all of this, it definitely changed a lot of things that I will be doing in the future. So
Yeah. Yeah. We're on similar paths. It's very funny, just like both of us have come to like the same point
yeah,
over the last year. And then
yeah,
both going to Japan, and we're like, yeah, we're fixing this all for Japan. In
yeah,
fact, I actually am supposed to be going, like cherry blossom, soon. But
yeah,
honestly, after I've been thinking about it, and obviously I don't have the flight booked, and I think I could, but I think we're actually gonna end up moving it just because I'm thinking, what stressed us out a lot during some of our trips was just how busy it was.
yeah.
Like Italy was technically Jubilee, and a lot of areas were busy.
Oof.
And so
Yeah,
I was like, no matter how great an area is, if it's super busy, we get stressed out and we don't want to deal with it.
yeah,
We do not want to deal with it. Basically, there's a phenomenon that happens like with crickets. So crickets are nice and they jump around or whatever, but when there's too many in one particular area, they actually start frenzying and they start eating each other and they become locusts, like
yeah,
from the Bible. And so I think that happens with humans too, at least for us. Like if there is too many people in one given area, we turn into locusts and get stressed and we want we want to run
yeah.
away. So like I'm thinking maybe I'm better off. If I had it my way, I'd be in like more closer to winter, like November, October. So now I'm
Mm,
starting to think to book around then. Decent
yeah,
weather, nothing crazy, less people. I think it'd be more enjoyable experience. But yeah,
yeah,
that's part of it. Like all the lessons that we're learning is like just trying to make a better and better experience each time we go to a new
yeah.
place. Yeah.
I totally agree. I was looking at Japan like September, October also.
Mm,
It's kind of like their fall, like right before it gets like really, really cold.
yeah.
Um, but there's always like the Reddit users and what you see on social media where it's like, oh, cherry blossoms, things like
Yeah.
that.
Most amazing thing.
Yeah, I had a friend that just went to Japan like 2 weeks ago,
Oh, wow.
and he had like the most fun he's ever had, but it was like
Wow.
really, really cold.
Yeah,
And
February.
I think after my trip to Europe when it's really, really cold, I just don't want to do really, really cold anymore. So luckily for me, the next couple of trips are going to be fun, 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 and the sun, sun, sun. So
That's amazing. I love it. I love it.
but yeah, so with that, always a pleasure to have you on the channel, chat with you. Really interesting how we had very, very differing trips in very differing parts of the world. We both planned in a similar way, but also executed in totally different ways. But
Yeah.
I think the part that I like the most is we kind of found a way to learn in the exact same way, and based
Yeah.
off of what we talked about, I think we're kind of aligned on what we want to do next time. And, I really appreciate the advice that we gave people. I hope everybody watching definitely takes something from this. But if you have any final words,
Just don't turn into a locust. Just don't let it happen. That's all.
all right,
Thank
everybody.
thank you, Dave, for having me, man.
No problem. Don't turn into a locust.
Yeah.